I think for the past few seasons, Karl-Anthony Towns was viewed as the premier prospect among big guys in the NBA. Now, while Joel Embiid may have taken that crown to some people, I think Towns is definitely viewed as the number 2 guy by a lot of people. But given the season that Kristaps Porzingis is having for the Knicks, is it a realistic discussion to believe that KP has actually surpassed Towns in terms of who you'd rather have moving forward? I don't think there's a wrong answer, but maybe there's a little bit of wiggle room now. And I think they both have a lot of similarities between them. When we look at Karl-Anthony Towns, he's kind of like a shooting guard in a center's body, and I mean a really athletic shooting guard. I think even if he was 5 or 6 inches shorter, he would still be in the NBA given just how well he moves at his position. But when we look at Porzingis, I mean, his physicality jumps out at you as well. I mean, his 7'3" frame and his ability to get up and down the floor, combined with his verticality, these guys are both kind of revolutionary players for how they are athletically, given their size and the positions they play. So I don't think there's a real difference in terms of just athleticism between them. And what's pretty crazy about both of these guys is they don't just do it as roll men or on pick and pops, they also can just beat guys off the bounce. And I think this is a product of where we are in the NBA today. For these two guys, I mean, Porzingis 7'3" and Towns right around 7 feet tall, to have these sort of ball handling moves, it's pretty crazy. So, I mean, as of right now, I don't think we've found a distinct difference between them. But if I can go a bit deeper, I do think when it comes to attacking the basket, I think Towns could have the advantage overall. This previous season, Towns attempted basically 800 shots in the paint, where he shot well over 60%. And Porzingis is damn good in that area too, but Towns is like otherworldly when it comes to scoring inside compared to KP. Now, as far as this season is concerned, if you were going to say, well, Towns' numbers are down, so how is this even a conversation? Well, he's got Jimmy Butler on his team now, who's going to command quite a few shots, and he's also got Andrew Wiggins. And if we compare the amount of shots these two are taking compared to some of the guys on the Knicks, well, that's why Towns' point production is a bit lower than KP's at the moment. But I don't think we should just hold that over Towns and make Porzingis the clear winner. Now, one department where I can make Porzingis the clear winner is the outside shooting. He's taking 5 threes a game right now, where he's shooting around 40%. And this is kind of crazy to say given how good Porzingis already is, but once he really hits his prime, I could picture him taking 7 or 8 3-pointers a game while still shooting around that high 30s or maybe even well into the 40s on his percentages. And the thing about him is, even if you play good defense on him, sometimes it's not enough because he's 7'3", he's got a high release. Porzingis really is a difference maker in how we look at big guys and what their skill set should be. I mean, he's the type of guy who could make it a requirement for all power forwards to be able to shoot threes. We're already moving in that direction anyway, but also power forwards who can really defend the three as well, because, I mean, how are you going to defend a guy like Porzingis? Now, Towns, his three-pointer is pretty nice. He's attempting about 3 a game, where he's shooting well over league average as well, but I think with Towns, his three-point shot, it's always going to be a part of his game, sure. I don't picture him ever using it as a weapon the way Porzingis will. Number one being, I think Porzingis is just flat out a better shooter than Towns. But also, I mean, the height between these two is just a difference. I mean, Towns, he's a bit more normal in the sense of sometimes have a chance to defend his three-point shots. With Porzingis, you can be in his face, and it won't really matter. Now, that being said, given all of Towns' other abilities, being able to hit from outside is still a cheat code. But when we're talking about the effectiveness of the outside jumper, the constant spacing it provides, forcing the other team to have to make some tough decisions on defense, Porzingis wins in this department. And I think some people could believe that the shooting disparity between the two of them would ultimately make Porzingis the better choice. But since I just picked one area where Porzingis is the clear winner, let's go back to Towns. Rebounding-wise, this is not even a discussion. Karl-Anthony Towns is averaging right around 12 rebounds a game for his career. about 3 offensive rebounds as well, which means he gives his team more opportunities to score. And when we're talking about rebound percentage, Towns is, this season as well as last season, around top 20 in the NBA. So his teams are generally pretty successful when he's on the floor when it comes to rebounding. And he's always going to be someone that you have to keep track of on the offensive boards, which just adds a little extra nuance to his game. You know, if you choose not to box him out, then that makes him a little more dangerous on top of everything else he does with his ability to score, post up, shoot threes. I don't know if Porzingis is ever going to be a strong rebounder. He's averaging around 7 boards a game. His rebounding percentages are 12% about for his career. I mean, there's a drastic disparity with these two guys in rebounding. Now, sure, the Knicks have some strong rebounding centers. Porzingis is more of a power forward, which means he's generally a little farther away from the basket because power forwards are moving closer to the perimeter nowadays. But it's still a big difference between these two, and you just have to give the edge to Towns here. Now, we can make it a little bit closer when we're talking about post-ups. To be honest, I don't know if either one of them is ever going to be significantly better than the other when it comes to posting up. They both have a real ability of attacking, whether it be on switches, where against Porzingis you really have no chance, and against Towns you don't have a good one either. But they also have the ability to attack opposing big guys as well. I mean, even if you're a big dude, you still aren't going to be able to contest against Porzingis when he's 7'3", and Towns is so crafty that he can get by a guy like Steven Adams and still be able to score. Now, Towns has posted up more throughout his career before this season. Porzingis is actually among the league leaders in post-ups per game. I think part of this is because of all the offensive players on Towns' T-Wolves team, of course. But I think we're going to have to wait a few seasons to find the real winner when it comes to post-ups between these two. Now, when we're talking about the defensive side of the floor, these plays that Karl-Anthony Towns is making, these are kind of few and far between. His consistency on defense is just flat out weak. And if we're looking at defensive rating, well, Porzingis' career defensive rating is 105. And I think Porzingis has shown himself to be a pretty okay defensive player. I think he's got room to improve, but he can make some decent plays. Karl-Anthony Towns' career defensive rating is 110. So just based on raw data, Porzingis' teams throughout their careers have been 5 points better defensively per 100 possession than Karl-Anthony Towns have been. I don't think that's the end-all be-all, but I do think at this point in their careers, you do have to give the edge to Porzingis on defense, just because I think he's been a little better, even though I think both of these guys have a ways to go on defense, especially Towns. A moment ago I said Porzingis was okay on defense. I think he's a legitimately good defensive player. So if you want to pick a winner here, you'd go Porzingis in that department. So we just did a few different play styles: post-ups, rolls to the rim, shooting from outside. Do I think there's a wrong answer here? No, you're getting a great player regardless, a player that opposing defenses are going to have a really tough time dealing with. If you force me to absolutely pick one guy, I might still go Karl-Anthony Towns just because he's been better throughout their careers up to this season, and he has teammates who are taking some of his shots away. But once again, whichever one you're picking, you're going to be okay with your decision.